What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am here in this great company. Everybody should know everybody here, but just in case you don't, we got Dr. Ken Berry, we got Neisha Loves It, we got Kim Howerton, we got Robert Sykes. And we've been just brainstorming and talking about all kinds of great things, and we're like the whole time, man, this needs to be on video, this needs to be on a podcast, and just want to let y'all know, y'all have missed greatness. Like, it's gone. It's
so
just
many good things.
not been recorded. But there's two topics that we wanted to touch on while we're all here fresh before we go eat, and we're going to tackle the first one right now, which is
Why net carbs are dumb.
why net carbs are dumb. So, who would like to start? Ladies first, right?
Ladies first.
Really? Go.
Well, okay, so a lot of people talk about how you should totally count net carbs because only idiots think fiber counts because don't you understand biology? And I get that argument a lot, you can probably tell. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, why are you discounting the reality of so many people, so many of my clients who come to me and they say, yeah, you were right, when I dropped my total carbs to 10, like my weight loss doubled and I didn't change anything else. I mean, I also have the experience because I practice on myself because I'm super carb intolerant that even if I eat almost nothing, if I have my carbs too high, I will not drop a single pound. So these things make me think, it's sort of like the calorie people, right? They're like, well, duh, science, calories, but it doesn't.
Super technical.
Yeah, duh.
Mic drop.
Yeah, calories count. You know, I mean, it's like, well, but like, look at what happens. Look at the reality. I'm just getting into my incensed personality now.
You're fired up.
Fired up about
Yeah.
carbs.
Yeah.
What do you experience?
Well, I think, I always try to be practical about this. And so if there are people out there who are doing net carbs and losing weight or whatever their goal is, then I think that's fine. Keep doing that. But ultimately, many, many people who are very carbohydrate sensitive or insulin resistant, there's just basically two different ways of looking at the same coin.
Right.
At some point, you're going to stall, whether it's with inflammation, whether it's with weight loss, whatever you're trying to do with this way of eating. And at that point, you will come to the realization, as Kim Howerton did, you got to count total carbs. If you want to go any further on this journey, if you want any more success, the net carbs thing gets a lot of people a great way down the road, but at some point, you've got to start counting total carbs. And the whole counting carbs thing, we're taught that, 1 gram of carb is 4 calories. Right. Actually, not true. That's an average, right? Some carbohydrates will give you 4.5 calories. Some will give you 2.5 calories per gram. And so
this is like breaking news.
Well, and a lot of people, this is known science for decades in nutrition. Right. It's just like,
but I don't think the general public
no,
knows that.
Exactly, that's true. And so, because it's so easy to just say, 4, 4, and 9, and that's what it is, but it's really not that at all. And so, like a lot of the sugar alcohols, you need to count. You don't get to not count that. That needs to count as 2.5 calories per gram or whatever, if you worry about calories, which I don't. But
the calories having to count is an indicator of something else happening in that nutritional.
And so whether you've got some bacteria in your large intestine that's breaking down some of that fiber that doesn't count, and then converting that to free fatty acids, which you then use as energy, that matters in the big picture. And so if the scale's moving and you're moving towards your goal, I think count net carbs.
If it ain't broke.
Right. But at some point, if you're stalled out and you know that your net carbs are whatever you thought your goal was, you're going to have to start counting total carbs to go down to the next, whatever your next goal is.
And I do think that maybe with vegetables, some people can stay okay with a fair amount of vegetables.
Right.
My big problem with net carbs, even though I'm not one of those people, so I'm sad because I like the Brussels sprouts, but but more than that, so taking the vegetables out of the picture, you can play games with net carbs that will take you down a very dangerous road. And suddenly you're like, deep into the mug cake world, you know, which, you know, hey, like I'm glad they exist. They help people, you know, transitionally and whatever, but you start playing net carb games and I'm like, I am a tricky mofo. And I can
metabolically,
well,
and
both.
perhaps otherwise.
Yeah, I can figure out how to get like 100 total carbs into 20 net carbs. I can come up with that equation.
And the advice we gave for a long time before we kind of converted to just count total carbs and be done with it, is I would tell people if you're eating a product, anything that's processed, and that includes almond flour, that's been processed. Any kind of mug cake, any kind of a product, a bar, a shake, a powder, you got to count total carbs because human nature is what it is. And if I can fiddle with the carbs and make the net carbs lower and sell more product, duh, I'm going to do that. That's human nature. But if you're dealing with a whole food that has one ingredient that is it is broccoli or it is whatever, I trust broccoli. And so I think it's okay probably for most people to count net carbs in vegetables because broccoli is not going to mislead you. But if it's a product that comes in a box or comes in a bag, they will mislead you even a little bit if they can increase their profit margin. And so if it's a product, count total carbs. And that's another great rule of thumb.
Did you know that they have a 20% margin each way?
Exactly. And see, that's another thing the general public doesn't know. They can round down and it's okay. If you're plus or minus 20%, that's okay. And for somebody who, if you're 18 years old and metabolically very healthy and you're carb tolerant, that plus or minus 20 is meaningless to you. But if you're 40 or 45 or 50 or 55 and you're very insulin resistant, that plus or minus 20 can mess up all your goals.
Absolutely. And the thing about the like one ingredient, the broccoli, the you know, whatever insert vegetable here, the problem is if you get down to tracking total carbs and then you're seeing, oh, my total carbs were this number, this was my effect, this is how my weight loss is going, this is how I'm feeling, you can then very honestly make changes. Because you know the lay of the land, you can see every detail. When you're involving a lot of products in that, you're like, was it the inulin? Was it the nut flour? Was it was it the gum? You don't know what, you can't really diagnose what's really causing the issue for you.
Because for some people, those things don't matter. But for other people, they matter very much. And so if you just start this journey counting total carbs, then you're never going to be misled by a product.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just keeps you in the safe zone.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Neisha, you've been entirely too quiet over there.
Well, I mean, hello. They talk a lot, but I agree with everything.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I feel like the majority of people that come into this are going to be people that need to count total carbs because they're not the 20-year-old and they're not the metabolically healthy people. So the better safe than sorry thing comes into play. Like, wouldn't you rather just count the total carbs and have good outcome than do net carbs and risk not having a good outcome?
And so if you're over 40, count total carbs. Don't even play the reindeer games of net carbs. If you have pre-diabetes or diabetes, total carbs. Don't even mess with it. If your BMI is 27 or higher, starting, total carbs. Don't even play the reindeer games of net carbs because you'll be disappointed. And you won't get the results you're looking for. But if you're 20 and you're metabolically very healthy, then don't count anything, right? You're 20, why are you even worried about it? But if you're coming to keto, trying to lose weight or trying to reverse your type 2 diabetes or trying to keep your pre-diabetes from ever becoming type 2 diabetes, count total carbs from the beginning. That way you're never misled by a product and you're not having mug cake 3 times a day because you think the net carbs, that's still within your macros. That's gonna lead you to failure.
Well, and I was gonna say it's gonna lead you to failure, and then you're gonna get frustrated, and then you're gonna be stressed, and then that leads to your cortisol level being higher, and then it just causes more problems before you even get started. So
and you're like, I tried keto and it doesn't work.
Didn't work.
Keto didn't work for me. Well, that's because probably you're counting net carbs.
Yeah, I mean, like, no joke, y'all. I've had clients at 20 grams of total carbs, dropped down to 10 grams total carbs, and it made a night and day difference. So, like, every gram counts, especially depending on what your goals are, if you want to get more strict. If not, if you're happy with where you're at, then be with where you're at. But if you have a specific goal in mind, then double down on that goal, reach that goal most efficient way possible, and then adjust as needed.
Yeah. If you're counting net carbs, you're trusting another person with your goals.
Right.
The only
Whoever
reason
made
you
that
should-
product, whoever sublet and subcontracted, and whoever provided the ingredients, all you're having to trust a whole group of people with your goal.
Yeah.
And your goal is very important. And so if you want to protect your goal and trust only yourself, count total carbs. And that takes all the error out of the equation.
The only reason you should count net carbs is if you're carnivore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yep, that's exactly right.
Anything else for this video?
No, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got the next one coming.